Good evening, everybody. I'm Jen Carloni, the Director of the Department of City Planning, so thank you all for coming. This is a microphone just for the camera, so it doesn't project my voice, but I think you all can hear me. I'm Jen Carloni. With me I have Ann Lauro, our Historic Preservation and Assistant City Planner, as well as Alex Jardin, I want to acknowledge as well as from the Planning Department, and he did some of the visuals for this presentation. So the purpose of today's meeting is for some additional input from the public relative to the siting for the Whalemen and Fisherman memorial sculpture, and some additional information as to some of the sites that we've looked at and pros and cons for some of those. So come on in and join us. We just got started. Okay, so we have a legacy of art and sculpture in the city. We've got a lot of great pieces throughout the city that we've curated and have great locations for. And then this memorial is to Whalemen and Fishermen. The sculpture was designed by noted American sculptor Anna Hyatt Huntington and gifted to the Greater New Bedford and Old Dartmouth Historical Society, and it was dedicated in 1962. Its original plaque identified the sculpture as the memorial to the Whalemen and Fishermen. It's 14 feet tall. It features Poseidon, the mythical sea god, holding a cod in his left hand and a sturgeon in his right. Further down the statue, there are examples of marine life found in all seven seas, including a scallop, lobster, clam, octopus, and a sea turtle. Anna Hyatt Huntington is a prolific artist known for her bronze and animal sculptures. Today's Anna's work is in some of the great collections, the Metropolitan Museum of Art, and it's a quote there, notes her as one of the most prominent animal sculptors of the early 20th century, celebrated for her keen powers of observation. So it's a wonderful statue that we have. It's a gift to the city. And it was originally located right outside in the Whaling Museum courtyard. This is the original location right there you can see in the picture.
Now, this is an old picture. So what is now the Whaling Museum Plaza, what we call the plaza, the Bluestone Plaza, which was built in the 80s, 90s, I'm sorry. So this is a very old picture.
Okay, and then the most recent one that you guys would remember in current memory is the Tonnesson Park location, which most people would say is the original location. The sculpture was relocated to Tonnesson Park. A water feature was added, and it actually caused the sculpture to deteriorate, and it needed its conservation. And in 2016, it was removed from its current location to be restored. The conservation efforts, the city sought the services of a professional conservator, Boston-based. I know Arthur asked me that before. Boston-based. I don't know how to say that. And Daedalus, to remove the fountain parts and repair those areas of the sculpture requiring attention and treat its surface. And then now it's been advised that the current structure should be placed on a pedestal wherever it's located to protect it and also to give it some better sight lines. So there was some public surveying engagement that's happened in the past. About a year ago, there was a survey on Facebook. There's 2 surveys. Our office tracked all the comments that were made as well as the responses. Predominantly, and most of the things you can see here were the original location was a top favorite, as well as most of the general waterfront area locations. There were some other locations as well that were popular. So today's presentation, we're going to focus on a couple of those waterfront locations here in the downtown, as that seemed to be the predominant area where people wanted this statue. So I'll go to the next slide. So we've identified some pedestrian corridors, places where people can walk and experience the sculpture, as well as some areas where we currently have art in the city. And so that's what we're kind of started with that as a basis to look at this. So these are the locations in orange that you can see. So at Elm Street, at the end of Rodman Street, Center Street, Union Street, at the original second location, and then at the Coast Guard Park area. So we'll go through each one as a quick overview. And again, we haven't decided on a location, but these are some of the considerations that we're thinking of as we look at some of the locations of interest. So Elm Street, Route 18 on the southwest corner. So this is that location that you're all familiar with. As you drive into downtown, you see it with Mr. Steadfast and the National Park sign. So this is the location that we looked at because it has, click to the next slide. These are thanks to Alex. He put this beautiful sculpture there. You can see it. So again, this is a concept where you would be able to see the sculpture. The benefits of this one is that it's a high traffic location, but it's high traffic for cars, moderate for pedestrian traffic, and there's concerns for safety. There's also a lot of visual clutter in here with you've got all the traffic lights, the other signage, Mr. Steadfast, the poles. So there's a lot going on there, but it's a possible location. Okay, then we have Elm Street, Route 18, the southeast corner, so across the street is a site we looked at that people had identified, and many people will remember that's where Siegel Cinderella was, and there's other sculptures that have gone there over the years. So this is what it may look like if we put it in that location. Benefits of this location: high traffic location, but again, it's mostly vehicular traffic, not a lot of pedestrians on that side, and there's obviously safety concerns for vehicular conflict or accidents there. Okay. The end of Rodman Street. So on Rodman Street, there is this plaza here that you may or may not be familiar with, but this is a location that absolutely has space, and we'll go to there. So this is what it.
Cork over there and down the street.
So this is the Coalition of Buzzards Bay building, right here?
Oh, all right.
Right here. So the bank is right in front of it, kind of. So, yeah. So this is Buzzards Bay. This is where this Carmine's would be just to the like where Ann is. And then like the sea sculptures are here. So again, the plus is that there is some moderate pedestrian traffic. It is safe. It's an underutilized plaza site. It's adjacent to the eelgrass art sculpture, so there's some co-location benefit there. But as you indicated, some people don't know where this is, so that's kind of a drawdown, a detractor from that. Then we have Center Street location. And this is a location where we've had public art in the past. It's been there for a while with the art walk and whatnot. So this location, it could be there. This high pedestrian traffic location, it's adjacent to other seasonal art installations. There are some safety concerns, but it's a possible location as well. And this is what it could look like. Again, I just want to thank Alex. He's did a really great job with this. I'm always impressed when somebody can put something in for us. Union Street. So we're going to look at the northwest corner of Union Street. So this is adjacent to the tattoo shop that's there right now. We have this current art plaza area. So again, we've got a high traffic, vehicular traffic, high pedestrian traffic corridor, corner. The sculpture does have some safety concerns on that corner. There is some visual clutter with the building, signage, and the traffic equipment again. But again, it's a big space. It's absolutely a location in our downtown, prominent where people could see it. Union Street, the southwest corner, so the other side of the intersection. This is the former National Club side of the road there. When you look at this, you would think today that it would have possibility, but in the future, as we know, that it's been permitted, that they are redoing the National Club in that building, and the city has entered into a license agreement with the property or the leasee for the restaurant there, so that's out of the running because it's already identified for other uses. So now we're going across Route 18 to Coast Guard Park, and so Coast Guard Park is one of my favorite spots downtown. I think it's really nice, and it's relaxing when you need just a breather to see the water. So you've got these nice grass areas, and so Coast Guard Park, you have kind of two different areas in Coast Guard Park where you have the monument to the sailors, and then you have the other side, on this side, and so you've got the Lightship Sailors National Memorial, and then you've got the USS Constitution Monument. So you've got already some co-located monuments in this area. But what we would think, if we wanted to go in this location, we could do some unique landscaping or other elements here where we could kind of bifurcate or make two kind of areas distinct in that area, where you could have this statue on one side, looking over the waterfront, and then still have the other monuments and have their honor and whatnot as well. So again, this location has moderate vehicular traffic. It's got some pedestrian traffic. It's an underutilized space, which could benefit from some upgrades. It complements the park's water-related themes. It's direct location to the waterfront. You can see the waterfront, you can see the boats. It's very similar with the location setting and qualities of the Tonneson Park, the prior location. So this is absolutely an opportunity that we felt that we should present. And then the former location, Tonneson Park. So we're all familiar with this space. You're familiar with this area. It's currently has a monument memorial there right now, the Fisherman's Memorial, with some stone around it that has, I'm just going to note that the circular pattern has memorial bricks that were donated, dedication bricks around it. And so if you want to click through. So this location, what people really appreciated and liked based on the comments that we saw in the prior surveys of the community was the context. People really like the context. It's near the wharfs, it's by the fishing boats. It fits with the character, the concept. The location is close to pedestrian corridors, people, activity around there. The scale, proportions of the space and the sculpture work in harmony, and the use provided both passive and active observation of the sculpture, and nostalgia and familiarity. So people liked it because that's where it was, and they knew where it was. So the issues as of right now are it's under state ownership. We don't own that piece of property right now. There is another statue. The state pier is under redevelopment. We can go there. So state pier is currently under redevelopment. We don't know exactly what that proposal or plan is going to be or how long it's going to take at this point. So again, this area is kind of an unknown at the moment. We don't know what that's going to look like, and we don't own it. And then there's other logistical issues once if that site became available that obviously the city doesn't own it. It's currently being planned for the redevelopment, like I said, and the memorial, the current fishing memorial would have to be relocated, and the new landscape or the whole kind of area would have to be redesigned so that you could have either a co-located sculptures or, that one would have to be relocated to another place. But we really have to look at how to fix the site up in a different way. And there's just significant unknowns currently that exist for this site. So with that, this is our presentation to you all about what we're thinking about, what we felt that we heard from the community, and it's your opportunity to, be heard this evening. So open it up to anybody who wants to talk, and I can pass the microphone for the camera.
How many people voted for Kurt Pimentel? Well, just state my name or whatever. But I was just wondering how many, out of that survey, was it 1,000 people?
Yeah,
Was it?
She had to collate all the
Yeah.
responses.
So there were two Facebook or two social media, I guess, surveys that went out. I only tracked the first one. In the first one, I think I tracked between the original posting engagement and then when it was shared to, then went to the shared sites, and it was over 350.
Okay.
Yeah.
350 people made up that slide of,
Yes, the individual,
okay.
yes. Yeah,
Right.
that one.
So the largest, the original location was over almost
75, I believe,
75.
was the amount there.
All right, 75 people then.
one of the original.
No,
Oh,
for
75
one
is-
is the original
Just about that
location.
location, then you
Okay.
had like
Then you had about
30 or 40
40 people who wanted it to
Waterfront
be.
General, Custom
waterfront.
Square, Whaling Museum, and in the downtown.
So these are just the people who bothered to respond to a Facebook survey?
Correct.
Correct, okay. Well, I own a piece of land at the foot of Butler Street, next to the city beach in Cisco, that I always thought this statue would be a great spot for. And I approached the city council last Thursday to donate it to the city. And I would just wanted to let people know that right at the foot of Butler Street, you look out at Butler Flats Lighthouse, and I don't know if you can pull up Google Earth.
No, we don't have
Or
internet.
you don't have internet, but,
It's the waterfront side.
Right.
East.
right. So it's the east side of East Rodney French Boulevard
Rodney side.
that I always thought would be a perfect spot for the statue. And my father was Carl Pimentel from Me and Ed's Smuggler's Den.
Yeah.
And the family would, we're trying to develop a memorial park in my father's name. But that's what we were looking to, and I have a letter with me on the information that I passed on to the city council last Thursday.
We'd love to take that, and again, we're looking for feedback tonight, so we can't provide an answer this evening.
Right, no, I just
But
wanted,
we'd love to.
I want it to be known that the family would donate the property in that area or something, if you would consider that as a site.
That's wonderful.
I have a question. Are you gonna restore it to be a fountain again, or is it just gonna be
So
without that?
it is already restored, as we mentioned earlier. When it was removed from the site, it was put into storage, and then it's been recently restored. It's still, and I'm going to confirm with Jessica Bailey here, who is our opera coordinator, that it is still on site with the conservator? Yes. So,
doesn't
but
have to
Is the intention to make it
No.
functional again? So-
not as a fountain, because although that research has shown that that was the artist's initial intent, it was done after the fact, and it was executed poorly, and it actually led to the deterioration of certain pieces of the statue itself. So it won't act as a fountain. It will just be the original sculpture.
I just want to make a statement. The beauty of that statue really is, cannot be appreciated when you drive your car by it. The beauty of the statue, thank you. The beauty of the statue requires someone to stop, to walk around, to look, to feel, to explore. And if we don't put it in a corridor that has high foot traffic, that will be lost. And I don't care where we put it, it will be underappreciated for our community. And so I believe, even though that's a very nice gesture, and I know the spot that you're talking about, I think that there is not a lot of foot traffic. There's people who walk dogs. There are people who jog. There are sometimes, half marathons that go by that area. But other than that, it's not like where our, boats are. It's not where we have our boats that take people to Nantucket and Martha's Vineyard. And I just want people to appreciate it like I have always appreciated it and always thought of it as being as beautiful as it is.
I was probably one of the ones who voted for the original location. I work in the harbor during the summers. I drive the harbor launch. And I can't tell you how many times I have people coming in off of C Street that I'm taking out to their boats, or people that are coming in on their boats, coming into downtown to go to the Black Whale, to go to the Whale's Tail, the Merrills and whatnot, and continue asking, where's that beautiful statue that used to be there? They love seeing that there, and it's amazing. People coming in from, there'll be people coming in from all over the place, up and down the East Coast, that are familiar with New Bedford. They're coming to the harbor because they just like the familiarity of it. It's a commercial port. It's not like a lot of recreational ports that a lot of people sail to or motor to, and they're always saying, well, what happened to that big statue that used to be there? That was so beautiful. And I said, well, it's being refurbished, but they're looking to see if we can try to put it back, and a lot of people would like to have it back at its original location and move the other one to maybe some other spot. So I just wanted to give you some feedback I hear from people from out of town who come in and pass through that. It's a very high foot traffic area. Thanks, Ann.
I do want to take this opportunity to just logistically and geographically show you some locations along the waterfront that from this aerial, and I know it's somewhat faded. But here's the original location here. And then here is the bottom of Rodman. Well, obviously those were the Elm Street areas, which I think we all agree probably just don't work at the intersections. This is that little plaza that exists at the bottom of Rodman Street. This is the bottom of Center Street. Here is the intersection at Union Street in front of the Tattoo Parlor, Cork, Rose Alley. Here is the Coast Guard Park that we were looking at. Here is all of State Pier, and then here's the original location. So in comparison to the original location, the proposed locations that we're reviewing with you tonight, the Coast Guard Park probably matches in proximity and in its setting, probably the closest. It's literally on the other side. It's on the south side of State Pier. This is on the north side of State Pier. You have water and fishing boats behind you. You have water and fishing boats behind you. It's probably the one that closely matches the original location, which has, as we noted, has some logistical challenges with us right now as far as ownership.
Most people coming off the C Street, though, are heading towards the parking, either parking.
But that might change with the State Pier redevelopment. We don't know if C Street is going to be docking here,
Right.
here, or here.
Right.
But we-
That's what comes back to those
But
unknowns.
we put them in the Whale's Tooth parking lot when we travel, when we bring them to and from our port.
Right.
So that's a
They-
direct shot. And quite frankly, even though I, at the time, was involved in a minor way in that statue being there, it's undersized. It's dwarfed. It causes for a grand statue, something huge,
Yeah.
something eye-catching. I mean, this is a little tiny piece of art that could better be served perhaps in somewhere else, perhaps on your land, or perhaps on someone else. It's an important piece that's there, but it's too small. You know, you don't even see that when you drive or walk. You walk right past it. Thank you.
And we have heard that.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone. I just thought I'd speak as somebody that doesn't remember where it was and has never seen it, because I moved here 5-6 years ago. But I'm a resident, a pedestrian, and a driver, so I agree with you. I think it needs pedestrian traffic around it. I like that idea much more than, visible to drivers. I would favor, as the outsider that doesn't have any nostalgia, if you're going to, A, it's restored, so there's not going to be any seagull poop on it. B, it's going to be landscaped, it sounds like. I think people will quickly forget what it looked like and give up their nostalgia, because it'll be beautiful once you install it wherever it goes. So I would favor it going in the best place for pedestrian traffic, and I kind of liked your park with the other, what's the other park down the street?
Coast Guard Park.
Coast Guard Park. I mean, if that's an area that's like a twofer, because you're getting landscaping in an area that needs landscaping anyway, as opposed to the problematic area you identified with the other sculpture, which is beautiful, and it is small, you're right, for the space. So anyway, I think I'd be happy with it anywhere, because it sounds like you're going to make it look beautiful. It's going to be set off more beautifully. It's going to be stunning since it's restored. So I would favor the best place for pedestrian access and care and, care and feeding. But I like the other park down the street idea. Yeah, just for the benefit to everything else. It's still very close, so you can send those people that get off the boat, you can say, well, it's actually right down the street. So those are my thoughts.
Anybody else have anything to share or questions? Other comments?
There are 3, that would be the 3rd memorial statue in that park. There's the bell, there's the,
Yep, so currently in this location, we have a public art here. You've got the monument to the boat builder.
Constitution.
But what was the boat?
USS Constitution.
But the boat builder.
Yeah,
The-
Claghorn.
Yeah, thank you, the horn guy. And then you've got the sailor's monument.
You can see it here.
Yep.
Would you remove any
And
of
so-
those other ones?
No, I don't think we would. I think our intent would be to create some way, a separation in some way, either by landscaping or otherwise, so that it does feel like they each have their own honor and separate space. But again, I think we'd leave them all, because it's obviously Coast Guard Park. It's supposed to be, this is meaningful. It has it's a, memorial.
grasses and things, isn't it?
Yeah, and it does, this is just a concept. I mean, that's,
Yeah, it's not,
again,
not to be literal.
yeah.
but you did have a,
Yeah.
there,
Right, so we put this Alex, thank you for his wonderful photoshopping abilities here. But again, we're not married to these plants specifically, but just as a concept that we could show that there's some way that you could separate the two areas and create both, improve them both and have an honor to both of them, while also enjoying the working waterfront.
What goes on in yesterday's now?
It's a coffee shop in the bottom.
And,
Anything at the top anymore?
yeah, it's businesses.
The
At
board,
top.
the board.
Cause that-
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm talking about years ago.
Oh, well, years ago, it was a bar.
Yeah, yesterday.
Drinking yesterday.
Yeah. The best viewing around.
No, I just,
So we're-
what are the plans now? Are there more of these sessions, or is this a?
Right now, we're just listening input, seeing what the feel of the public is at this point. And then, once we have a decision, a way forward, we'll decide if, what the strategy is, whether it's the original location or another location. And then depending on those decisions, it'll determine what the next step
do
is.
you have a contact list? So if there are future meetings?
Oh, yeah.
that
We'll take your contact information today if anybody wants to leave it with us, and if we do have another meeting about it, we will put it out there. I mean, the main goal is that we currently have it, it's restored. We want to get it out there in the public. We
It
want to
shouldn't
get
be
out there
sitting in
somewhere.
storage.
Right.
And that's why we
It's
struggle.
that
The
long.
current location, we don't know if we can do it right away. And so that's why we are looking at other locations, because again, we don't know. And we don't know if it can go back where it was. And so if the public was amenable and is interested in, benefit of having it out there in the public outweighs us waiting, that might be a solution. And that's why I wanted to look at other locations as well. But again, we're kind of out there right now, looking for feedback from the public and seeing how everybody feels. So we'd want to honor it.
When will you report out on this?
I don't think we have an exact timeline, because again, we wanted to see how the public felt. And I think today I'm hearing, again, people want it near pedestrian locations, like you all said. So that helps us, report back and take that in. We thought similarly. We didn't think people really wanted it in those auto-centric areas. So we're hearing from you guys, pedestrian areas near the waterfront. I still think, we thank you all for that location, but I do think we're still hearing that the downtown is really where people want to see it. And there is clear preference still for the original location. I think we're hearing that.
As she said, the scale
Yeah.
of the statue to the original location is just
Yeah.
so good. And I just wanted to second
Yeah.
what you said.
And to address that, I guess there may be opportunity to work with the artist, the sculptor of the Fisherman's memorial that's existing there. He specifically did not want it on a pedestal. He wanted it on the ground so that people could interact with the human scale of the sculpture. But, there may be opportunity to go back and collaborate with that artist if that's going to stay there and, embrace what the public has stated about that particular
The
piece.
Port Society would be beautiful for that. Putting it up at Johnny Cake Hill at the Port Society.
They declined that. I
Yeah.
was a member of the Port Society.
Yeah.
I believe it left the museum, but then it was offered to the Port Society, and we voted to decline. It was shocking. Because they considered putting it on the south side of the Bethel.
Correct. I do recall that.
Yeah.
And they thought it was too oversized for that space. But the other one that's presently there now would be perfect for that space.
So, my response to that is, in case you didn't pick up on it from the sound, was that the Siemens Bethel, the Port Society on Johnny Cake Hill, has a small park just
Just
south of the actual building. And however, the city has just entered into an official memorandum of agreement with the Bethel to place a Melville statue in that park.
Nice.
and the city is going to be entering into a contractual agreement very shortly with the artist to do that. So that kind of takes that off. That's why we would have had that most likely as a site here as well, because it is a very nice site, but it's already claimed. Yes.
It's disappointing there aren't more people here. No, really. My name's Patrick Hunt. But I'm just surprised there aren't more people that, showing a vested interest. That statue is gorgeous, really, so.
Yeah, and it is interesting because, as I noted earlier, the social media, I think it's just a sign of the times and how people interact publicly, because the social media posts gathered a lot of responses. It's dark, it's November,
Right.
it's dinner time.
Yeah, true.
It's easier to be on your phone or your computer and make a comment than it is to actually come
If
here.
it were a Zoom call, there would be a lot more.
There you go.
Now, the build-up of what the state is going to do behind the state pier there, is that going to have any bearing in terms of the time frame of that? In terms of when that'll, decision will be made? I mean, is it going to be?
That's kind of why we can't, you're asking about timeline, we
Right.
can't commit to a timeline
Right.
right now because it's an unknown about the state pier. We don't know their timeline right now. We don't know exactly
Yeah.
what that's gonna look like. And we don't know, obviously, we haven't opened those
Yeah.
conversations yet about locating this
Right.
there. So if we do that, I can't commit to a timeline.
Right, yeah, I was just curious. I know that, because I saw some information, it's kind of a different topic too, but I know there's a bunch of proposals for that site, and have they made decisions on any of that? No, that's all still up in the air too. Cool.
Now, Coast Guard Park is owned by the city?
Correct.
Yes, Coast Guard Park is owned by the city.
So there's no
conflict there.
conflict?
All the other locations other
Yeah.
than the original that we showed today are city-owned property.
So what will happen to the statue that's on the original location of the statue we're talking about? Once it gets bought out by the state, right? Or once it gets taken over by the state, do you have to remove that one too?
So that's an unknown. We don't know how the proposals will affect that statue as well. We just don't know. And that wasn't a city-sponsored statue. That was privately
Right.
funded, and,
Right, I worked on that committee when it got,
right.
when the money was raised, but I always thought that wasn't the correct spot for it, That they were diligently searching for a site to put it once it was done.
So we're here if you have any other questions, but that's pretty much the end of our program. If there's anybody wants to chat with us, we're here. But we want to thank you all for coming, and we sincerely appreciate your time and commitment and comments this evening. So thank you.
Thank you.